Welcome. We are really excited to share all of our music from 2024 with you tonight at this virtual reading session. We're going to cover our beginning and lower intermediate pieces today. I'm Katie O'Hara Labrie, your host, but also the orchestra editor at Randall Standridge Music. And prior to that, I was an orchestra teacher for over 15 years. I taught all levels. So I definitely was in the trenches with you all and take those life lessons and teaching lessons to heart when writing music and editing the pieces that you're going to hear tonight. So first, I'm going to start us off by introducing you to our company owner, chief editor, Randall Standridge, to tell us a little bit about his really cool piece, Shiver.
Hello. So this piece, Shiver, is one of my first pieces that I've written exclusively for string orchestra. I have a background as an educator, but that was as a band educator. I was a band director for 12 years. And so through learning with Katie and her teaching me about string education and kind of remembering some of the things I learned in college, I wanted to take a shot at writing something for beginning strings. I know one skill that's both fun and important for them to learn is tremolo. So the piece Shiver introduces tremolo in what I think is a fun way. We're approaching the season that I love best, which is October and fall. So Halloween, scary movies, ghost stories. And I wanted to write something that had a little bit of that creep factor because kids seem to always like that. And I like it. So that's why I wrote it. So Shiver, it's a six-note piece, introduces tremolo, and it works for a Halloween or fall concert, but I think it would also work for a winter concert, kind of thinking of cold and darkness. But it would also work as a festival piece. So it's a really versatile piece in your library that could serve a bunch of functions. And mostly, I think it's kind of fun and interesting. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks. Um, so next is one by me, and it's a grade one piece that I've arranged in the Bleak Midwinter, which I wrote in a not very bleak midwinter day. It was a really beautiful winter day, and I just wanted to write something for the younger levels. But what I think is really unique about this one is that I think it would work beautifully for your advanced groups as well as your younger groups. I've simplified the rhythm so there's no dotted quarter notes, which almost makes it a little bit more lush, along with some of the harmonies and suspensions that I've added. But if you added some vibrato and maybe some third position to it, you could, play it with high schoolers as well as, with your baby groups. Second violins and violas double, and the cellos and basses double unless like the basses are just cutting out for a little bit. So here is In the Bleak Midwinter. So yeah, thanks for all the nice comments. I did include a piano part, and I like to say that it's definitely a student piano part because even I can play it. So if you do have a pianist in your group, you could utilize a student performer as well. On a completely different end of the spectrum, we have Assemble the Guard. I'm going to introduce Dion Morales, but before I do, could everyone unmute themselves for just a split second? It is Dion's birthday, so if you'd like to wish happy birthday, please do.
Happy
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 birthday!
birthday!
Happy
Happy
birthday!
birthday!
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday!
All right, okay, everybody can mute back except for Dion. Tell us a little bit about Assemble the Guard.
Hello, everybody. Well, that was unexpected and fun. So, for my birthday, you guys can go all buy my piece. Okay, cool. Anyway, Assemble the Guard. So, I'm a middle school orchestra teacher. I teach fifth through eighth grade orchestra, and I had a group that was struggling with note reading, but was really good at rhythm. So they were kind of in this weird place. It was their second year playing. So I wanted something exciting and moving, but not have a big note range. And this is where Assemble the Guard was born, mostly step motion, but also getting them used to seeing some of those skips in a safe way. We have those seconds, violas doubled. And I have a situation right now where a group I'm having played now, I have a giant viola section. So I just had all the violins now playing first violin. So you got that flexibility in there. But let's go ahead and listen to Assemble the Guard.
What I really like about that one too is the use of the stomps. A lot of times they'll just be have a rest beforehand, which is nice, but it just helps them with feeling the beat and allowed Dion to put in some kind of cooler rhythms that may have been hard if you didn't have that feel of that oomph. So that's kind of a fun aspect of it. All right, another very rhythmic piece we have is Rock the City by Karen Wiegand Neidhold. Karen, tell us a little bit about this one.
Hi, I think my dog's going to be helping out. He's over barking by the fence. Um, I love writing eclectic styles music for young orchestras. I um, I especially like writing rock music, and I love all the different rock music written specifically for string orchestras, not just an arrangement of music that's already out there, because I think you can really show off an orchestra, but playing rock. I also I teach middle school. I really love having equal challenges for each section. It doesn't mean they're going to necessarily play all the same music, but they have equal challenges. And of course, since it's rock, there's a drum kit that the drum set part, you can have someone play along with you, or you can download the don't isn't there an audio of the drums that they can download? Yeah, so I just wanted to write an uplifting rock tune, and this is what came out. It was like 2 days, just kind of zoomed out of my head.
And what I like about it too is that the words of the title kind of fit the rhythm, Rock the City. So you can use that as a little educational tool as well. All right. Here's a little of that. Yeah, and there's a comment in the chat about Karen's piece, grade one piece from last year, Bronco Rapids, which was just another happy piece that, is just good with solid rhythms and educational stuff. I'll share just a quick story about Karen too. She takes her pieces and has her students play them, but she uses a pseudonym. So they don't know that they're her pieces. So she can really gauge if the kids like them or if they don't. So everything you see here is stuff that the kids liked. So that's always kind of fun. Um, yeah, smart. Yeah, seriously. All right, next, Randall, if you want to join us again and tell us a little bit about sunlight.
So not much to say about Sunlight. It's a piece in D major, and it's just all energetic and rhythmic. My main instrument is percussion, so I'm sure a little bit of that influence comes into this. But it's been fun because the more I've gotten into writing for strings and in string education, the more similarities I've actually seen between my own discipline with percussion and with string writing. It's way more in common with it than it is with like wind instruments. So here is Sunlight.
Yeah, and what also I would just add to that, what I really like about your writing is there's just colors of chords and things that you do so well that I don't hear a lot in strings. And so I'm really enjoying having that added to our repertoire. I noted on the slide here too that there are a few G string notes for the violas, but what we do in our catalog is we introduce them with fingerings the first time that they have them. So it's like a little bit of training wheels at this level. So here is a little of sunlight. It goes into this little minor section before it brightens up again at the end. So speaking of minor sections, that's where we're going next. Here's another one of mine. It's On Guard. And this is just one of those driving, intense, fast, fun pieces in E minor that kids love to love, right? This one definitely focuses on articulation. So different types of accents, tenutos, staccatos. Um, all the parts are introduced to C natural. So just kind of giving them a little taste of this. We're at like the 1.5 level by now. Except for violas, in this case, they get a low one D sharp once or twice. And this one, you got to think about on guard and, the swords kind of swooshing. And there's a part that you'll hear where it goes into pizzicato. And I can imagine that kind of fancy footwork that the fencers do. Did anybody else watch the fencers on the Olympics this summer? That was really fun to kind of watch and kind of envision this piece during. Like you get a little taste of that one, and it kind of goes back into the fierce section towards the end there. And so I should mention, I see some conversations going on in the chat. We do have really amazing time getting these songs produced and recorded. They are played by symphony players from Indianapolis each year, and it's a joy to work with those players each year. So I'm glad that you're enjoying the recordings. Um, Next up, we have Alpine Glory by Erica Donahoe. I'll let her introduce it via video here in a second, but I will just say what I really like about this one. I feel like it's in that 1.5 range because, like, note-wise, it's not too terribly difficult, but it's really great for building expression and like full broad bow strokes. If I was still in the classroom, like this would be an assessment tune or like a warm-up tune, maybe even for a more advanced group. Definitely, definitely. So here's Erica, who also, as happens to be with most of our composers tonight, happens to be an orchestra director as well.
Hi, my name's Erica Donahoe, and I'm the composer of Alpine Glory. Thanks so much for attending the reading session tonight and listening to all of this great new music. I wrote Alpine Glory because I wanted to give young string players something just really lush and beautiful to play, something that they could work on blend and vibrato and nice legato bow strokes. And I was also kind of playing around with musical suspensions, so you can maybe talk with your students about the tension and dissonance that creates, and then get them to listen for the resolution. So thanks so much. Hope you enjoy Alpine Glory.
To that lush A theme again to round it out. But just so beautiful. And again, I love those broad brow strokes, which can often be a challenge for kids when they're first going. So if they had a piece that really aimed towards that, I think that would be a great learning experience. All right. How many of you think grade one, 6/8 time? I see all the laughing heads and shaking heads, right? This is amazing. I'm calling it a 1.5, but it is an intro to 6/8 time by Gerard Hall. This is his first foray into string writing, but he is an amazing composer. He just sent me a new piece that he wrote in like 2 hours. It blew my mind. But Ready the Castle only uses those basic 6/8 rhythms. So the 3/8 notes together, the dotted quarter note, and the dotted half note. The seconds and violas mostly double. Occasionally they're off by a note or a third or such, but they are all pretty much together. And then what I really like too is that he clearly identified throughout the piece what the articulation is. You'll see it in the score. Like he actually writes out détaché. And so that's not a word like the kids always see. So I think it's kind of a good thing for the kids to see as well. Cellos and basses double and rehearsal piano, all that. So here's a little of Ready the Castle. Actually, I think it's the whole thing. It's only about a minute and a half. Oh, play. Notes labels for when they're introduced. Same idea, different style. All right. Now, if you're going to stick with us for the next half hour, probably only be about 15 minutes. I have about 4 pieces left that we're going to do tonight. I've decided to move the grade 2.5s to next week. So if you want to catch the 2.5s to 5s, we're going to be doing those next week. But I wanted to keep tonight short in case you had other plans. But just a little roundabout discussion on our grade 1s. So definitely have those matching second violin violas when we can. Not every single one. All the ones from last year, which you see here, do have that. That matching cello bass for sure. Rehearsal piano, and then those 3 downloadable percussion tracks. Let me show you a little bit what that looks like. So here's my piece, the 101. This is on Randall Standridge Music.com, and you just click Music Catalog, Orchestra, and you can filter however you want. But down here, there's a spot that says additional materials, and that's where you can get those free percussion tracks, as well as cello 2 parts, which I'm going to tell you about in our grade 2 lit. So let's get on to grade 2 and Christmas. So I'm going to let Jorge Vargas tell us about his impeccably awesome Mariachi Christmas.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to do a Christmas piece because I mean I really don't have that many. I can count them on 2 fingers, but I wanted to try a style that I feel that has not been used a lot, which is mariachi. And having taught mariachi for many years and written for mariachi, I just thought it'd be very neat to introduce these rhythms to the students. I didn't include accents in weird places and some things that are common with mariachi violin playing. We use the traditional Christmas carols, but just in a mariachi setting. So I hope you enjoy it.
I found myself humming Carol of the Bells the other day and realized I was doing it with this, rhythm. I was like, it's catchy. It's really, really fun. All right. Next is a piece that came across my desk, and I was just like, oh man, this piece is so good for teaching bow stuff. So it's gonna teach them like different staccato, legato accents, but really it's those hooks. So staccato hooks versus tenuto hooks. That's like a really nuanced thing. And MJ does this really well. MJ, tell us about Proclamation.
Hey y'all, happy to be here. As you can see, I'm in a college dorm, first year of college right now. Uh, and being in unusual places works with this piece too, because I don't think I told you this. I wrote this in the ER waiting room, which I work well under pressure, but this was originally a band piece, and it was in the key of E flat major, but eventually I saw the light, and now it's a string piece in G major. And I don't have much of a background in strings or music education. It's more brass and composition, respectively. So Katie's really helped me shape this into an articulation showpiece. And I was kind of brainstorming. I was these are the kinds of things I think about in the shower. I'm like, what if we let each section of the orchestra really master one articulation and then teach it to the rest of the ensemble? I think that would really, I think that would really give them a reason to like take ownership of the music, which I mean, this could be common practice, but I think, I mean, I mean, when I was playing grade two music, that was only 7 years ago, and I can kind of remember that feeling like this is mine.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I wasn't gonna share your age until after the piece, so I'm glad you went ahead and shared. But I think what would be really special for the students is to know that it was written by someone closer in age to them, and I think that's just so inspirational. We have another piece by MJ in last year's catalog called "A Love and Light," which is more for the high school realm. That is just beautifully crafted. So you should look at that as well. But here's a little bit of Royal Proclamation. And then it kind of recapitulates that the opening part again towards the end there. So I think that would be an amazing assessment tune and just teaching piece. So thanks, MJ, for that. All right, we have two more tonight. Next is More Than Heroes, and this is dedicated basically to all of you. Willie Owens wrote this for Gitsies. So where are my Minnesota people at? Yeah, you betcha, right? It's Greater Youth, the Twin Cities Youth Symphony. But it was inspired by this period of time that we've all now lived through when COVID was kind of at its height. And there was so many unsung heroes, teachers, nurses, and all this. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind the piece that he wanted me to share with you all. The first half is this introspective part. There is piano and percussion that are optional. The percussion can be played by one or two players, and the piano is cued in the string parts. And then the second half is this motor rhythm, spirited, very just uplifting part as well. Someone recently asked on SOST or one of the string groups about looking for a good patriotic piece, and even though this isn't like necessarily that, I feel like it would fit that theme as well. So here is a little bit of More Than Heroes. Right. So I want to tell you a couple features about our grade two pieces. So violin three is included because at this point, pretty much all of them have separate viola and second violin parts. But we also do have what I think is really unique, and I would have loved to have had when I was teaching, free downloadable cello two parts. How many of you have ever not had a bass section? Yep. Or you had bass section, but they needed help, right? Yep. So this is for you. I've taken the bass parts and transposed them so they're in the right octaves for the cello players to sound down low, and added fingerings where needed, that sort of thing, if it's like C string stuff. And so whenever I could, I have added those as an option for you. And those are free downloads that you can get on the websites, along with those free percussion tracks where available. Here's a couple from last year that you might want to take a look at as well. If you haven't heard Santa the Barbarian, we're going to have part two next week, so join us for that. And if you haven't experienced the beauty and emotional charged pieces that Randall has written as part of the Unbroken project, do check out Fragile as well. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit more about our company really quick before we hit our last piece tonight. And I just want to answer what makes RSM special. So for you as educators, I think you'll like this first one. We have copyable parts. Randall, do you want to talk on that?
Sure. Having been an educator myself, one thing, realistically, we all know is that people copy parts. So what happens when you buy one of our pieces, what you're essentially buying is a license for our piece. So with that, there is a page that is found in every score that dictates, the terms in which the parts can be shared, printed, copied, whatever. So now notice I said it's like a license. So what you can do is copy the parts and give them to your students. What you cannot do is copy it and give it to the orchestra down the street. So, we want to make sure that we are supporting our composers and supporting, their livelihoods. But, realistically, we know that people need to copy parts, and, sometimes getting a full set may not, if you teach a particularly large orchestra, it may not cover all your players. So, this is something we do just in the interest of helping our educators meet their needs.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. We are available in print and digital. And digital, you can get direct downloads from our website, as well as through a print on Pepper. Someone asked earlier, we are on Make Music Cloud as well. So that's awesome. And actually, speaking of print, we do have, you can get the music anywhere from any of your brick and mortar stores that you love. Lux is also an option now this year if you shop there. But we also have lots of freebies because we love you all and we want to thank you. Our first one that came out was Pomp and Circumstance. It's a grade 2 arrangement. So if you need something for the end of the year, there's that. But then, of course, there's the handy dandy Randy Sandy orchestra warm-ups, which Randall and I created. It goes through finger patterns, articulations, some scale patterns, tone exercises, and a chorale. And it's just a great way to just give them what they need, start off their day. So definitely check those out. And then these next two I think are especially great for those of you who teach the younger grade levels. We have a Christmas melody pack and a Hanukkah melody pack. These can all be found on the free stuff button on our website. So definitely check out those. And then some of these exist already, some are up and coming in the future, but we have what Randall calls our Yetudes. Um, you've all heard of etudes, which the kids can't pronounce and they don't sound fun. So instead, we create Yetudes, right? But basically, rehearsal guides where maybe we write out the melody so everyone can practice it together, or a scale with that motor rhythm from William Owen's piece or something like that, so that you can have some built-in warm-up lessons there. I already mentioned the cello two parts and those percussion tracks. We also have something really exciting, and you guys are going to be the very, very first people to hear about it and see it, and that is our brand new multi-level catalog. This is coming out in about a month. And we have 3 pieces. These all happen to be by me that are multi-level string orchestra pieces. And so Polar Vortex is a grade 3 piece that stands alone. You can play it just on its own, or you can play it with the 2.5, 1.5, and then an open string part, and any combination of those. Adams, I wrote for a really special school that has all levels of orchestra. The standalone piece is a 2.5 that you can play on its own, but there's higher than that. There's a 4, a 1.5, an open string part, but then there's also what I call the adapted parts that I wrote for the crescendo orchestra that they have there, which is an orchestra for students with severe intellectual or physical disabilities. And so trying to be able to include everyone in music, I think is a wonderful message. And so that piece is all about how bringing together different atoms, different people, build that. And then I'm sure a lot of you who teach elementary teach Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, French folk song, what else? Marietta Little Lamb, Hot Cross Buns, all these pieces. So I put together this folk tune festival where those kids basically get symphonicized with grade 3 and 2 string orchestras that can play along with those beginner parts and just make your kids feel like they're the biggest, stars of the string world. So definitely check those out in the coming month. And then what really makes us special, or our company special, is these people. Our company motto is creativity, quality, and diversity, and I think you've seen that throughout the evening. And it's just a joy to work with all of these people, including Dion, who we're going to come back to now for our final piece of the night. So. Oh, I have so much to say about this, but I'll let you talk first. So go ahead, Dion.
Yeah, so this piece has a really cool story. So my daughter's been coming to my orchestra concerts since she was a newborn. And when she was about 5, she asked me, we had played I'm forgetting whether it was Dragon Slayer or Dragon Hunter, right? Those are like classic orchestra teacher pieces, grade one pieces. And she asked, she goes, Poppy, why are all the songs about dragons about hurting the dragon? And I look and I'm okay, we're like, all right, we're in the car. She's like, what happens if the dragon bites back? I looked at her in the car. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea for a piece. So that night, I started writing Dragon's Revenge. And it was just a really, really fun experience and trying to find a way to take what are usually grade one pieces, these really cool dragon pieces, and try to elevate it a little bit to kind of bridge that gap into grade two and a half. And I think my favorite feature of the piece is the solo section, which is playable by any instrument, any combination of instruments. And it was a game saver for me because I had a hot shot bass player, but there's usually no solos for bass players. So I wrote it in a range where it really works for any of the instruments. I love Dragon's Revenge. It's my jam. My kids always want to play it. It's super fun. It's our school anthem basically at this point.
All right, I'll show it off to everybody.